Hello and welcome to episode 43 of the Boxing Social podcast. No Rob today, so you're stuck with me and Barry Jones. How are you, Barry?
Well, I'm actually happy there's no Rob.
Yeah, I know. It's there's a sort of feeling that the sort of lunatics have taken over the asylum a bit.
Isn't it weird that we were sat here?
I know. I used to talk rubbish over there.
And I was saying, this would be me and you soon.
Yeah, we knew it. But we're here now. What people can't see, we've got a producer, but we've also got a couple of lawyers in the background because they are a bit worried about what we might say without Rob sort of towing us in. So we'll see how we get on with that.
There'll be no bollocks. Oops, there'll be no shit. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we'll be fine.
We'll be fine. Well, we've got, a lot to get through. We'll start at the very beginning, of course, in Scotland. Josh Taylor, Jack Catterall. Josh Taylor retains his belts. I'll just say, correct decision?
No, not at all. One thing I have to say is, this is the last conversation I ever thought we would be having.
Yeah.
That one, Jack Catterall won, because no one gave him a hope in hell, including me, and I know you, to be honest. Didn't think he could be competitive at best. And two, that he would be robbed. And you have to say that. And when you say he's been robbed, and people have to remember, certainly the fighters, Josh, I love you still, you're not digging out the fighter or anyone in his camp at all, but it was the wrong decision. I mean, I was ringside Saturday night. It was just everything about it was wrong. Catterall boxed out of his skin. Josh boxed awful, partly to do with Catterall's tactics as well, to be fair. And also he looked a little bit lethargic. He was afraid to commit, but yeah, it was the wrong decision. It was Catterall all day, every day.
Yeah, let me ask you this question then. What is it about the scoring system that makes this sort of problem occur? Are we talking, is it bent? Is it ineptitude? Is it something else? Why does this happen? Because we talk about it a lot, don't we?
Well, it's subjective, isn't it? It drives me mad. No, but it is subjective. But and you see different things from different places. But I think, especially those early rounds, I think they all had it quite similar. What I thought, Catterall was dominant in the early stages. I think they added like 2 apiece or something like that.
Yeah, John Lewis, I think, had it 3-1 after 4. As, by the way, so did Dan Raphael, obviously one of the leading journalists in America. It seemed like in America, a lot of people didn't see the scream up that we did over here, which says a lot about the commentary for me and the effect that has on people. But you're right, the judges at the start.
But I never had no commentary.
No. So how did you have it? I had it 6-0, but I thought it could have been 5-1.
I had 5-1.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I was looking to give Josh a round. That's the truth of it, to be honest. But I had 5-1. Yeah, but so I had Catterall 5-1 up after 6, which means all he got to do is win a couple of rounds.
Yeah.
Which he clearly did. He won one by 2 points, for God's sake, and because the public warnings cancelled each other out, didn't they?
Yeah.
And so I just can't see. And by the way, I like Jack Catterall. I've watched him for all of his career. I know he was a talent, but this looked like a step too far for him. I'm one of the biggest in the media, one of the biggest Josh Taylor fans, and he knows that. So I couldn't see anybody win. But he never won. You got to say what you see. You got to be honest. And he never won, and it wasn't close. And some of the rounds were competitively close, but with a clear winner. If you understand what
100%. Yeah.
I know you understand.
Yeah.
You understand? You've been to a boxing.
No, I got that.
But that's what it is.
It's true. They were close. He made it competitive, but I've rewatched the fight back, and I feel like maybe, and this is for me, this is ineptitude more, but I feel like those early rounds, they almost come and go a bit. And when you're sat there, especially if you are, and this is human nature. Say you're Ian John Lewis, for instance. You turn up and you think Josh Taylor's going to win this easy. You can't stop thinking that because you know the context of the fight. You turn up and the rounds are going by. Nothing's really happening. And when the rounds are reasonably competitive and close, you have to go on a little flurry or a couple of jabs or one clean shot landed, and that's enough. And I feel like Catterall's work was underrated in the first few rounds. And then the story is that Josh came on in the end and tried to push it, but didn't have enough left to do it, enough time left. But I don't know how you can excuse the judges. I don't know how you feel about it.
But I know you sort of say, like, I sort of work at sometimes clear shots. You remember the magic moments in the round rather than the whole round itself. And of course, so that's why some fighters, Ray Leonard was one of them, certainly against Hagler. He worked hard the last 20 seconds of a round to steal a round. But as a judge, you're more objective because you are watching. You have a glass of water half full and you pour some in this. No, but seriously, you're watching the round. You're concentrating on what's going on, and you're not counting scoring shots, of course, but because a heavy shot will outweigh 4 light shots. But the heavier shots were coming from Jack Catterall. The only one who looked hurt. I wrote down, after 5 rounds, I wrote down a piece of paper, and I never thought in my life I would write this, especially for this fight. I wrote down a piece of paper, and I passed it. I was working with Carl Frampton for BBC Radio, and I passed it over to him, and I written down, Catterall might stop Taylor. That was after the 5th round. He might stop. I thought, honestly, because every time he hit Taylor clean, Taylor looked worried.
Yeah.
That might be weight, might be that it looked. And also, I also said in the commentary that it's almost as if he's blind from the left hand, from the southpaw stance.
Yeah.
Jack threw the jab. Every time he threw the left cross, Taylor couldn't see it. By the way, the jab from Catterall was superb.
Yeah, it was really good.
But he was knocking Taylor back. He was the one landing with the heavier, cleaner shots, as well as sometimes being busier and more effective with his work. Being aggressive helps you win a fight and can give an impression you're doing better than you are, but not if you're not landing. And he was landing with some body shots, but his work was scrappier. Now you can still win a round on scrappy work, but not when the guy's landing with cleaner shots. I just don't see it. And I know there was a lot of holding, all that was dirty, but I think that when you just look on the body of the actual work that was done, all the best work came from Jack Catterall throughout the fight in most of the rounds. And so that's why at the end of the fight, I had him 5 points up.
I feel like I thought we were beyond the idea that a crowd could influence a judge, but having watched the fight back, particularly in the second round, which was for me like the swing round in the first 6, could have gone. A lot of people had it. I think all the judges could say, I can't remember, but he landed basically nothing. Everything was on the gloves, but every time something went in, there's a big roar. You would hope that a judge would not be affected by that. And then he also came on strong just the last 10 seconds of the round. The round actually finished 10 seconds early when Taylor was in the ascendancy. So you can imagine him going, oh, that must be a Taylor round then. But actually it wasn't, based on the whole picture of the round.
So I meant sometimes it's impossible to go into a fight with not a rough preconceived idea, especially unless it's a genuine 50-50, you don't know what's going on. In a fight like that, where there's one clear favourite, which there was, because one being tried and tested at that level and looked phenomenal, and one who looked very good, hadn't been nowhere near that level. This wasn't just a step up for Catterall, this was 10 steps up, let's be honest, on paper. So you think Taylor's going to win. So you almost, as you sort of said, almost discard those early rounds and just give them to somebody.
Yeah.
Because you think he's going to stop him. He's going to get to him. That's not how you should judge, and I'm not saying they did that, but maybe you can be at home, you might do that, and you can sort of be mistaken for that. And also, there's that, because I think he mentioned this, Josh Taylor, there's that, he didn't say this, but it's that Mayweather effect, where, I remember when Mayweather, if someone did good in a round,
you overrate it.
You're like Madonna.
Yeah.
Someone thought that Madonna got robbed, or one time he clearly lost both those fights, for me, but he did better than what you expected, so you give him the round. And that's what Taylor was saying for Catterall, I think, in one interview.
Yeah.
That he did better than what you expected, so you give him the round, but he still didn't win it. That can happen as well. But Saturday night wasn't that case. He landed with a cleaner punches. Well, as much as I'm a Taylor fan, I've done the job long enough now to put my emotions, park them when it comes to a fight. Because I've had to. Because I've had to say, I've had to commentate on Welsh boxers against people I don't like, by the way. And Welsh boxers I like against people I don't like. So I got everything there. Someone I like, my nationality, or everything points, or I've commentated on my friend's son. And have to say that he's losing rounds and things like that. It's difficult, or say he's lost. I've done that before with Paul Samuels. And you've got to be honest about with his son, Jerome, and you have to be honest about it. So I've learned to park my emotions. So I go into a fight with never with a dog in the race. Even though I'm a massive Josh Taylor fan, once I'm in the arena, I don't care who wins.
So with that in mind, Josh, as a Josh Taylor fan, what do you put it down to? Do you think, we all know he's struggling at the weight, but everyone struggles at the weight. He looked drawn at the weigh, and he always does. Is it that? Did he overlook Catterall? Was it bad tactics? Was it Catterall much better than people expected? A combination of all of that. What would you put it down to? Or was he just not at the races?
Everything. It was like the perfect storm.
Yeah.
No.
For Catterall.
Yeah.
Until the end.
Yeah. And yeah, Richie, I think that Catterall's tactics were perfect because he sat on that back foot and his timing was impeccable. So he made Taylor overreach. But Taylor is trying to box a little bit more now, and I don't know if that's Ben Davison. I'm not blaming Ben Davison, so he's going to get loads of criticism. Yeah. And maybe, especially after what he said about Trajan being lazy, he's going to get loads of criticism. But he trying to box more, waving this arm in front of your face like this is something you didn't need. Southpaw stance, like this. Because Catterall got great timing, and it didn't work straight away. So you got to revert to walking him down. So when you walk someone down, you got to have a tight defence. You got to block and counter with the same hand. That helps you close the distance, especially against someone like a Catterall. And he didn't do that. So he had a wide stance, a little bit too wide, like a wide stance, but it was a little bit too wide. He was trying to get that, so it seemed like the right idea. He was trying to get that front foot close to Catterall so he could jump on him. But he was waiting to land with a perfect shot, not double jabbing his way in, waving that hand, thinking he could beat him to the punch or a better time than him, and it didn't work for him every time. So every time he did that, Catterall was popping him with a jab, stepping
Resetting,
and sliding in with a jab and hurting him with a jab as well, by the way. And how many times did he catch Taylor square on and flush?
Yeah.
Rocking the head back or put him on his heels. Way too many times that I've seen in any fight of Josh Taylor's. No, I've seen in most fights he gets hurt and rocked. That's the magic of Josh Taylor.
Yeah.
He takes a great shot and fires back.
I wonder whether that is down to him maybe overlooking Catterall a bit, because he was just thinking, not working in, not setting anything up, thinking I'll just get to him when I want, sort of thing, and then before he knows it, he's too far behind.
Yeah, but he looked lethargic, and when you was, and just your reaction times are really slow, and when that happens, that's usually a sign of either not making the weight right. It's not always the case you can't make the weight. Sometimes you just don't make it right because you think, I'll do that next week, I'll do that tomorrow, and you've got to get it on point every time. There's a time scale when you make a weight. It's a science, if you like. Or you just can't make the weight and you're drained, or overtrained. That's another thing. I'm not saying he's been overtrained, but I read something on Twitter, the font of knowledge, of course, and someone brought up an article that John Fury wrote about Tyson Fury in the Ben Davison fight against
Fury. Wilder, the first fight.
Vallon.
Oh, Vallon.
He didn't look great.
The cut, when he got cut.
Yeah, and he when he looked awful, he's overtrained, and there's loads of things. But someone said, and again, I'm not blaming Ben Davison, but it looks like I am. But it was interesting because what he wrote was so applicable to Taylor. So I wonder whether that was maybe everything was just wrong. Yeah. Maybe, I don't know. But either way, regardless of all that's irrelevant because no one has a perfect camp. No one has perfect anything. And it's your responsibility to get it right in the gym and right on the night when you're a world-class athlete earning lots of money. That's just how it is. You only get one shot in, you know that. So you have to get it right. And Catterall boxed great. So we're all looking for Taylor's faults now. And I think he didn't look fantastic. But you've got to give Catterall his credit because he did look fantastic. I think you have to give him his credit. He might have overlooked him, but he was brilliant. The best I've seen him, Catterall, by a million miles. This is hard. When you're in the hardest fight of your career, you need your best performance. And very rarely do you do it. Very rarely do any fighters do it. And he did it on Saturday night. That young kid, not so young anymore, but that kid, he sacrificed his world title ambition for the greater good of the sport, which was, I loved him for that. An idiot's move, by the way, that was. But he did it for this, because he thought he might get this. And I thought, this is just stupid. Like, this, because I thought that something could happen. He won't get this opportunity, or he's fighting for all the belts, but now he got to box Josh Taylor, for God's sake, or Ramirez would have been one of them. It was a harder fight. That WBO route, he might have got an easy, maybe, because Ramirez would have given that WBO up to box Taylor and all the rest of them. He would have done that. So then he would have got a vacant title shot against an easier fight and being a world champion, potentially. Maybe. This is what I'm thinking at the time. And he's given that up now to lose a world title fight. That's what I felt against Josh Taylor and probably get battered or something on the line. Why would you do that? He didn't get no step-aside money as well. No. If that's true, that's just bad management. Whoever managed him, that's bad management, by the way. It's just crazy stuff. But he did it, but it was the best thing for the sport, the worst thing for his career. Waited his turn, did everything, all that. Has the right tactics, boxes the right fight, boxed the best he ever boxed in his life, and does it right, and it worked. And he got robbed. And I don't know if it's incompetence. It can't be corruption. No. I can't see it being corruption. I just can't, because time will tell. Because all the people think about fixed fights and all that. If you're going to fix a fight for money, then someone, and Steve Bunce told me this a long time ago about fixed fights years ago. He said, if someone would sort of like take a 10 grand thing, thing to take a bribe or whatever to throw a fight, then in another 5 years' time they'd sell the story to the paper, wouldn't they? If it was be a big significant fight, and maybe get another 10 grand, because if they're that corrupt and that weak, then they would do it. And you never hear about it, so I don't believe it. I don't believe that happens. So you have to say incompetence. But these people, these judges, I know them, some of them, and I can't, and they're good at times, more times than they're not. I think as a collective, people will disagree massively.
But it's true. No, but I agree, because they do know the sport inside out, but there is something wrong there.
And people say, "Oh, get ex-boxers." Most of them are.
They are, yeah.
Is that so? So maybe we don't get Xboxers. Who do we get?
Yeah.
And Eddie Hearn on DAZN Sunday, relishing, by the way, I'll be honest, he was the whole thing. But he said, well, maybe there's no new breed coming through. Maybe we need a new breed. Well, maybe we do. What we need for us as fans, as broadcasters, as pundits, as whatever you are,
Unemployed.
nomad like me, nomads, but a clear criteria from the boxing board of what the scoring is, how you score a fight.
Yeah. Because I feel you're spot on, because I think that people at home watch the fight, and I try not to look at Twitter when I'm watching a fight. I maybe tweet, but won't read what it's going, because all it does is skew you. But
yeah,
the people like Ian John Lewis and the rest of them who were there that weekend, Howard Foster was one, they watch the fight differently to how most people do, of course, because they're trying to judge it on the judging criteria, whereas most people watch it and just go, I'm watching this fight and I want to see who wins. They're not looking at it in a certain way. So there needs to be a cohesion between what the judges are watching and what the fan is watching, because it is just pure entertainment anyway. It's for the fan, it's for people at home.
And also, you're not going to sit, like, if I want to watch a fight, if sometimes I don't go to fights quite often unless I'm working.
Yeah.
Because I want to watch it at home.
You watch it better, yeah.
But unless I'm doing like a podcast or something the next day, I don't really score the fight, because it loses your enjoyment. So when you're watching a fight in its entirety, your scoring can't be accurate. Because if it's a really close fight, you'll go, oh, anyone's fight is 6 rounds, but it could be 5-1. Because the judge, I'd say this every time, I've said this more times than I say pivot. But I've said pivot, and I'd say
it's in.
But it's for the judge, it's not 12-round fight, it's 12 one-round fights. Mm-hmm. It's 12 one-round individual fights. That's how he scored.
The fighters know that as well, by the way.
Yeah, okay. It's red corner, blue corner, and he marks his card, and the referee collects it, and the referee gives it to the main commission guy, or whatever he is, the supervisor, and they tally up at the end, and they get put in the way. No one should see him, apparently. And then you go round 2, and theoretically, it's new red corner, blue corner. It could be 2 new fighters, and we go again with no relevance about the last round. So I give the last, if the last 4 rounds were nip and tuck, could have gone either way, and I've given more to the red corner, I can't go, I better give round 5 to this guy. That's what we do at home. Yeah. That's what we do when we're not when we're just doing our own. Because people say at home, they go, oh no way did he win that. That was like, even 6 rounds, they go, that was 4-2, 3-3 at best. What was it? 4-2 or 3-3?
Which ones?
Make your mind up. Yeah. They have to make their mind up. They can't go, I'll change my mind on that. No, they can't. I've done it. I've done it working. When I knew it was asking my scorecard, I've gone 10. Oh, it's close. That is 10-9. And then as the round's gone, I've gone, actually, I'm going to give that 10-10. As the next round's gone, I'm watching it. I've thought, actually, I give that 10-10. Yeah. I've gone back on myself because I have that luxury that my scorecard means shit.
But that's it. You've just literally explained why. There is, because people always go, how is this one person next closest to the ring got it so wrong from everyone else? It's because when you're judging it like that, when you're scoring it like that, you literally go, who won that round? Okay, but there it's gone, and it's gone forever then.
But they got it wrong.
So they got it wrong, and that's what I mean. And then you got to think, well, what are they watching up close?
Or did they get it wrong?
Yeah.
Because we don't know. I have at home. I should bring it in. At home, I have a WBO book about how this criteria of scoring and other things like that. And I am ready. Like they're gonna.
I wouldn't bother.
Like they're gonna tell me. But it's more than just scoring punches. Otherwise, it'd be computer scoring. So, but we need and broadcasters. If you say it all the time, they should put before a big fight comes out, they should put bullet points of what are the criteria. What's the criteria of scoring a round? Yeah. And also that this 10-9 round thing that people go mad about. It's a 10-point must system. People are told it's a 10-point must system. But when you see the scorecard on the TV and they put 9-9, it's because the points taken off at the end of the fight, but you don't have the space on the graphic on the TV screen for an extra column to mention that. So they just put it on as a 9-9 round. People go, it's not a 9-9. Yeah. No, but it would be at the end of the fight because they just tally any points deductions. They take them away. No, at the end, after you tally up your score, then they go minus whatever was deducted, and so there's different things like that people don't quite understand. But if we know what the judges are looking for, then we can be super critical. Yeah. Because then if we go, well, we're looking for the same things as you, but we're still seeing something different, then we go, what's going on? What is going on? And they do have refresher courses. Yeah, I heard of. There's so many in it.
I heard that you mentioned there the criteria. You got defense, effective aggression, scoring, whatever it is, ring generalship. But actually, in America, they've gone a different way, or not officially, but on the courses now, they suggest that actually all it comes down to is scoring meaningful punches. Because as soon as you look at that, if you're boxing, and if you score a meaningful punch, that means your ring generalship was effective enough for that. If you're not getting hit by him, it means your defense is good. So really, all it boils down to is landing meaningful punches. And if you do it on that, even at the weekend, Jack Catterall wins.
Yes, in any way he wins.
Yeah.
The only way Taylor wins is if you apply aggression.
Yeah. Because he was moving forward a lot.
He was actually not even aggression. If you apply forward direction.
Yeah, literally that. Yeah.
Because Jack was aggressive enough at time. I know he held and filled his way through, and that was the skill that I applaud him. It's not great to watch at times, but I applaud him on having that skill. That
100%, yeah.
Because every time Taylor got close, he went chest to chest with him, got his arms inside, twisted his body around, and Taylor couldn't work.
Yeah.
He was so he just negated what Taylor's good at. And when Taylor gets close to you, he's an animal. He roughs you up, beats you up, and so often Catterall was almost he turned his back on him almost in close. So Taylor got warned all the time for punching him on the back of the head. But Taylor had no target to hit because he turned his back on him, really. And he'd hold him, and he'd give him a headlock all the time, push him down, everything just to mess him up, tire him out, mess him up, and not allow him to work, frustrate him. And it was just fantastic. They got the tactics spot on.
Yeah.
You give his team credit, but the boxer still got to do it, and the team had the right sort of loose game plan. And he had enough intelligence to think on his feet, and he showed a toughness. Because we know what Josh Taylor can do, pretty much everything, and he's good at it. But what Taylor has got, he's tough, mean, horrible, as well as all the skill. He has that as well to cope with. And if you give him an opportunity, he'll batter you. Like, he's rough, and so is Catterall, tough and rough and mean. And I never thought he had that. I remember I've commented on most of Catterall's career.
Yeah, with the Box Nation days when it was quiet. No one was talking about him, and he was just steadily going about his business.
I don't think he's been promoted great at all,
No.
actually. But either way, but maybe because he can't sell, I don't know. But like I used to say, sometimes he's a real talent, but there was a problem with him at times where he wanted to look good rather than just be good. He wanted to look too pretty. I wanted everything to be really stylish rather than just do the work. And Saturday, though he did look good as Davies.
Yeah, it was the opposite.
He just needed the win.
Yeah.
He just knew I don't give a shit what I look like. He wasn't a bad fight. He wasn't a great fight. But he wasn't a bad fight.
Yeah.
I mean, if that was a 10 round at 6 o'clock at night, it would have been a bit scrappy and messy. But because of what it meant, it was sort of good to watch. But he just got it right. He didn't care about how good he looked at times. He just got it right. He was just so focused on, he does this, I have to do that. If he gets close, I get chest to chest and I spin around and I don't let him work. And then when he hits me, and what he did what Taylor does. When he gets caught with a good shot, he fired back.
Yeah.
That's Taylor's strength. When Taylor gets caught hard, like any great fighter, and Taylor has been a great fighter up to this point, he fires back when he's hurt straight away. He stops you from doing anything else. And you can't teach someone that, because you react when you get hurt. You react or you react. You can't teach someone how to react when they get hurt. A natural instinct kicks in when you get hurt. And whatever that instinct is, that's just down to you. That's how you're built. You can't, and that's like, you're lucky if like a Kawasaki, you can recover quick, and a Taylor, you can recover quick when you're hurt and fire back. And Catterall had that. As soon as he got caught with a decent shot, he fired back straight away. And that stopped Taylor from maybe overwhelming him and nicking a few rounds back and maybe winning the fight. Well, he did win the fight, but
officially
really winning.
on boxing.
Yeah.
Let's a couple more just before we move it on. Let's look ahead slightly. Start with Jack Catterall. What's next for him? I feel like, I don't know about you, but when these happen, it happens quite a lot. These decisions that sort of, for me, sort of damage the sport. This one's felt like a bad one. You've got to feel for Catterall as well. Young family, like you alluded to earlier. This guy's every session in the gym, everything he's ever done in boxing was leading to that moment, and he did it right, but he didn't get the rub.
Yeah.
And now, not only has he got no belts, he ain't going to get a rematch because Taylor's going up. He's in the Who Needs Him club because he's clearly very good and people realise that now. What does he do? I guess he'll get a shot at a vacant title, but how does he put all this heartbreak in a box and move on?
I think it's heartbreak beyond measure.
Yeah.
I've had my title ripped off me because of medical, so I know I sort of know what it's like to have your dreams crushed. So it's difficult, but he'll have a little bit of solace over time that everyone felt he won. So it's like being the people's champion, if you like. And so He'll have that. Everybody goes now going, mate, you won that fight. Oh, mate, and he'll have all that. Everybody goes. And he'll get a vacant title shot. No guarantee he wins it.
Yeah.
It's still a great division. But now he's proved that he is world class. No one was quite sure. We knew he was a good fighter. We knew he deserved this opportunity because he played the right system for the WBO, doing all what they've asked for him to get to where he was. But still hadn't boxed anyone really world class. Let's be honest, when he got to number 1. So you wasn't quite sure if he was. But he proved Saturday night that he was genuine world class and world championship material. So he gets a world title shot and he wins that and he moves on with his career. But the financial incentives won't be the same because he doesn't have all the belts, because he's not a massive ticket seller yet. Though Saturday might have helped because I would imagine they've done good views and stuff. But yeah, and that's the problem you have is that. But because
he'll never get that moment again, will he? All the belts undefeated.
Or I don't think he'll get that the financial incentives. I would have gone with that because he had everything.
Yeah.
So that's Cambosis moving up, or Teofimo Lopez, moving up.
Yeah.
When he gets a big DAZN thing, they chuck money back to try and get him back in the mix, or anything, or one of the other guys, Ramirez, and the ESPN chuck money there to get him to all the belts, or so they try to. So he becomes the champion with all the belts, who's the B-side, making loads of money.
Yeah. Hopefully. I mean,
it's great. Great. It doesn't matter as long as you're winning and you've done it.
Yeah.
And also becoming an undisputed champion in this generation is unbelievable. Then for a kid who no one really thought he'd win a world title. Let's be honest, he was a talented kid. There was no denying that. He had lots of things going for him, especially at this weight, which is one of the most difficult weights, by the way.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he would have had all the belts. He should have all the belts right now.
He should. Yeah, he should. As much. And now, this is not a slight on Josh Taylor.
No.
He's got beat. You got beat. You can't. So he's performed impeccably. He's had the best run in boxing. His run's better than Canelo's.
Yeah.
Canelo's in the short space of time. But I think the quality be equality. His run. It was only that fella he knocked out in 1 round recently.
Yeah.
His Yildirim, his version of Yildirim. He had that one give me.
Yeah, the York Hall one.
Yeah, the guy who was undefeated, but he was obviously nowhere near the level. But all the other fights have been unbelievable quality. Even from Ryan Martin was a good fighter, by the way. And he crushed him in Glasgow. It started from there, for me.
Yeah.
And went on and he had some good fights before that, didn't he?
Postol
and all that. Was Postol was after
before,
that,
was it? Was it after Martin?
Yeah, it was after Martin, I think, yeah.
Baranchik, but you're right. So, let's go on to Taylor. He says he's going to move up. A couple of questions. Firstly, do you feel like he will, this week, they'll sit down and take stock and go, we got away with one there? Or do you think they genuinely believe, like what he alluded to and everyone else has said, we actually won the fight, everyone else is sort of delirious about it, we won the fight? And how important is it they sit down and go, that went wrong, actually?
It's a weird thing because boxing's built up a confidence.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not saying boxers are the biggest liars in the world. You have to lie to yourself constantly because you have to do the things that are unachievable, really, at times. So you're always telling yourself, I did that, I'm better there, I'm better this. And the more successful you get, I think the more sort of secluded to reality you become. You have to believe you're the best and that's it. And he has been the best. But he wasn't on Saturday, so they have to do some sort of reality check. What was wrong? If it is just the weight, you go, listen, I was just drained, that's what it is. Let's move up, be strong at that weight. I think tactically it wasn't great as well, to be honest. And they couldn't find an answer to Catterall's timing, and also the fact that he sat on the back foot. They didn't close it. He didn't know how to close the distance effectively. He got close. Like anyone get close. He got close, fine, but he couldn't. It wasn't effective because he wasn't being able to score with clean shots. He was getting too close and then throwing too close, or throwing too far out and getting picked off. And you got to get the distance perfect. At this level, there's no excuse. And for the level he's at, by the way, the king of the world.
Yeah.
No, he should have got it right. So I think a move up has been a long time coming. But you understand he wants to defend all his belts. He just he worked hard to get him. He didn't just get him off like Catterall with a one fight. He earned every one.
Collected him.
Yeah. The proper way against hard tough fights. But and maybe that's a factor. He's had hard tough. That reign he's had, that 6-fight reign or whatever he's had, has been quite hard.
Yeah.
Takes his toll.
Excited about him at welterweight, though. Obviously an amazing division.
Yeah. The only problem is now, though, again, he doesn't go there with a begging bowl.
No. But it might actually help him, though, because people see him like Terence Crawford tweeting, I'm different. And
no, I don't think Dennis Crawford fights him anyway.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if that's a match that can make money for him, Dennis Crawford's not scared of him.
No.
Like, as Taylor's not scared of him. They're two nasty men who think they can beat anyone up. So, but Crawford's certainly not scared of him. And Crawford was always a favourite in that fight.
Yeah, left top rank there. It'd be interesting to see what they do, what they do there. But I mean, what a division to walk into. Unfortunately, on the back of that, but he's still goes in there with his belts, you know.
But the thing is, though, in 6 months, 8 months, a year's time, it'll just be he was lucky there.
Yeah,
He'll move
exactly.
on.
It's true. Yeah.
No, it's like
Very
he'll move
true.
on, and that's the thing with Catterall. You got all this euphoria now, but everyone's just thinking, listen, I know you lost, you're disappointed, but we all you got all the love, so that will help him recover. I worry about Taylor's state of mind because Taylor, how volatile and angry he is, and in fight mode. He had to double down on Saturday and say, I won that fight. I understand that. You have to. You can't just say, oh, I was lucky. But everyone wants him to, but you can't. Because that comes back to haunt you in years to come. And so he had to double down, but he's going to have loads of criticism. Not his fault. He didn't judge the fight. He's just in the fight. But he's going to get loads of criticism. Everyone's going to blame him for that. For that, oh yeah, you robbed Jack Catterall. It was your fault. It's like,
Yeah.
I just fought, mate. Do you know what I mean? That's all I'm in the ring. I don't have no fucking choice of what's going on.
Yeah.
And so I think he'll struggle with that. He'll struggle more than Catterall.
Yeah.
I think with this whole situation mentally.
Interesting.
And that's my worry for him. But he's still a good fighter. And I think at the weight, if he moves up in weight, if the weight was an issue, and it looked like for me, he showed a picture of himself from one fight from the other fight, and he's
I saw that. Yeah.
like if he looked better and he looked worse,
Yeah.
in my opinion. He looked more muscular, but I think that's just mean he looked more cut, which means he was tighter at the weight. But yeah, listen, I think he's still a good fighter, and he'll do great at welterweight when you got a few. You still have him to make that weight, but I think he'll be a little bit more comfortable, strong.
He's certainly big enough, isn't he?
And he has that style and that natural raw toughness to be really effective at that weight against some good fighters.
Okay, lovely. Let's move it on. That was Saturday night, of course. Weird Sunday night. What a treat that was. I mean, you could say treat.
It was a treat to have Sunday night boxing.
It was. Yeah, I mean, as far as we
went,
can,
actually,
yeah, as far as we can gather. Yeah, I went working for Boxing News. As far as I can gather, it was more this one, as much as anything, was a sort of testing the waters job for DAZN to see if people want to watch boxing on Sunday. Interesting. Who knows? But
what was it? What was the crowd?
See, good question. I was expecting it to be dead.
Yeah.
5,000 in there, maybe 4,000 polls.
That's
maybe
nice.
4,000 polls.
Oh,
all turned up for Cieslak. There were some other lads on the card. I think there were 3 England versus Poland.
So not a true
fair play to
reflection,
him. No, and fair play. And we spoke to Eddie after and said, "Was that the plan?" And he said, "No, we didn't realise this would happen." And so and it was amazing
Did they not?
atmosphere. They hoped that there's Polish people in London and they'd all come, but they didn't quite realise it would be like that. And fair play to them. They whipped up an amazing atmosphere. It was quality, but the fight itself. Let's reflect on that. I felt like it was a bit of it was the Lawrence Okolie of old.
I sort of see that, but I don't think it was that bad.
I mean, he wasn't bad.
No, it was
like Cieslak,
it was an awful
didn't
fight.
really win many rounds.
It was an awful fight to watch.
Yeah.
But
He's a tough opponent, though.
can I have my tea?
Go on, have your tea.
There's lovely boxing social cup.
Available.
All right.
Available nowhere. They might be available. I don't know.
It's available from my kitchen. If you know where I live, come round, I'll give it to you.
But go on.
Yeah, but he was only a little bit off.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
That's the thing with him though. It's inches, isn't it?
No, but it
those
wasn't
big
before
shots.
though. He used to bring that right foot forward and literally throw that shot, and he had more chance of hitting them when it was coming back than when it was going out. You know what I mean? He was so close to him. No, he was just a little bit too close. The jab wasn't strong enough. I think his jab, he's using it, and you see sometimes when he puts him on the rope, he puts it out like this to line him up to throw it. But that's no good to him because then when he throws, because his right hand, because when he throws the right hand, he doesn't just turn from the hips and the waist. He brings that right foot a little bit closer, not as much as he used to, but still brings it closer. So that means that right hand goes right over the top. It goes too far because he doesn't throw it like a shot put. I got to put my teeth.
No, he whips it round, doesn't he? A lot of them are like right hooks a lot of the time.
Yeah, or it comes over.
Yeah,
which is great for power. You want
to?
What I mean is, if he do it like this. Like from a shot put from the chin right through it and square the shoulders up and make it more direct.
Gets there quick.
Then when he does line you up with the left hand, it will go through the target.
Yeah.
Even if you bring the right foot forward, you're punching that far through the head. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Because he throws over the top and brings that foot forward, it goes over the top of the head.
Especially a smaller opponent like Cieslak, and they end up clinching it. There was a lot of holding. It was messy, wasn't it?
So, but if he throws a solid jab, that jab hits him back the right distance. You throw that looping shot or that overhand or whip it around because you've moved him back like 3 inches, 6 inches, or half, whatever it is. No, and you've moved him back with that solid jab. I think that all that touching with it is no good. I say touching with it.
I thought he jabbed well to the body. There was quite a lot of that, which I thought was good, but it was what came off the back of it wasn't.
You don't need to do all that shit.
No.
He needs to do the basic perfect, like he's
no, it's you're bang on.
like a heavyweight. I always say about heavyweights, if they throw a 1-2 left hook, that's all they need, and they're world championship material because they hit so hard that if you can master the basics, anyone actually, any boxer, if you master the basics first. you're going to win more fights. I remember me as a schoolboy, I was winning fights against kids who could throw hooks and uppercuts, and all I could do was 1-2s.
Yeah, at Earlsfield they don't throw bent arm shots for like there's straight shots for
I
everyone.
call them fucking bent arm shots.
But go on.
You would all.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's true. You learn them first.
Yeah.
Learn them first because like you got to get close to get. You got to learn how to get close first before you start throwing shots.
Yeah.
And the Okolie doesn't need to get close ever.
No.
Ever. I would literally.
'Cause he's long
Shane
enough.
McQuick. I'm going to get him in the gym with a big stick. Though I wouldn't hit the Okolie with a stick. But
you need one.
what's that? I still wouldn't read. But no. And every time he gets close, I'll whack him on the wrist. What are you doing? What are you close for? Because you're giving him an opportunity to hit you. You've got such a long. They said he had 3-inch reach advantage.
It's more than that.
What's it? 33-inch
Yeah.
reach advantage. Like you don't need to get close
No.
ever. You might have to as a heavyweight maybe, but learn that as it comes. Learn it in the gym. Learn all that stuff in the gym. Don't do it in a fight yet. You don't need to. You don't need to get an opportunity to get that guy close. But he's still doing that thing where he overreaches with the right hand. He brings that back foot forward. He did that more because he was hitting him and hurting the kid.
Yeah.
But he couldn't get rid of him. And I think it didn't panic, but I just think he started to get a little bit untidy as the rounds went on.
Yeah, from ringside, it was just he's such a specimen, Okolie. He's such a huge bloke.
Yeah.
His arms are massive. Everything he throws is so dangerous, but it's just a little bit of refinement, and that's what I mean by regression. Probably harsh, but he's looked certainly when he won the belt, the mandatory he had at what was the fight? Where was he? Wembley or wherever it was. What was his last fight?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah,
that guy, it wasn't good enough for him. Yeah. Not good enough. But I feel that when he gets it right, I thought that Cieslak, like he hit him clean. Obviously, dropped him once. One comfy really on the card. Like the cards were close, and I thought Cieslak barely ran around in my eyes, really. But you think if it's Maris Bradis who was there, dressed up as Mario.
Oh, put me off him.
Yeah, I mean, what a bizarre moment that was at the end when he sort of touched him on the hair. You know, I don't know whether they were trying to build a fight. It was very awkward. But if he boxes like that against Bradis, who's the favourite? Because you know that's 1 and 2 in the division.
The thing about Okolie, because he has that raw power, any stage of that fight he can hurt you and knock you out. But Bradis is tough and schooled and a better technical boxer, so he goes favourite. He has to be a favourite.
Yeah.
And he's more seasoned. And he's going to be harder to hit cleaner. And and if you throw over the top,
He's going to miss him.
and he's going to hit you back.
Yeah.
Like Okolie took a few shots, but we don't know how good of a shot he can take. I'm not sure.
No, he hasn't really been hit. We were thinking about that last
Good
night.
for him, man.
Yeah, I mean that's because he's awkward. Yeah.
But thing is, that's the problem with these big fellas. They're not, because even for the amateur careers, not used to getting hit. Because when you're a big fella, you get hit, you usually get hurt or knocked out. So as little guys get hit more because we're faster and we have to. It's not so much you get used to taking punches. You get used to have punches thrown at you. So after you get hit, and more punches come, you learn not to panic and learn that from a younger age. But when you're a big guy and like once you get hit with 1 or 2 shots, they usually put you on your backside.
Yeah.
So
Changes. Yeah.
you're not used to having punches thrown at you. And so you panic more when you get hurt because you don't know what to do. Not everyone does, but that's usually the rule. If you know that can happen quite more.
You're less used to it.
Yeah, and you're used to it, of course. Yeah, you have. That's what I always tell. The hardest thing about being a boxer is not having being hit. It's having punches thrown at you. To give you once you can get used to that, have the confidence to sit low and sit close. When people think you got to go up and people go up and away from a shot. They go like this. When you got to get low and go in. You got to be confident that the punches fly over your head. You're safer closer at times more often than you are further away. Ironic, as crazy as it sounds, but you have to have that confidence and that vision to believe that. But those big fellas, they just don't have
need
that.
to. Yeah.
But either way, I think for Okolie, everything's just got to be that movement from the hips and the shoulders, that, and just don't close that distance ever once. The jab needs to be a really hard, solid jab, never slow. Never touching it, looking for the target like this, pouring it out, lining them up. Do I line them up? Bam! That lines them up. It moves them back, and then throw that right down. I don't care how you throw that right down there. It doesn't matter because you move them back onto it. If you want to throw a looping right hand or one that chops down like he does, and then you got to push them further back, or you got to hit him with the jab, or when you line the jab up, you got to take a little half step back to throw it. You got to know your distance. The judgment of distance is a skill that will win you titles, win you fights. It's not all about speed and power. It's that the judgment of distance is something that's an art in itself. You have to know it.
Well, the point is with Okolie though, that was arguably the hardest fight of his career on paper. This guy says like top 5, 6 in the world, and at no point really was he troubled. He was pretty
Yeah.
comfy.
Yeah, no,
you know, it's
yeah,
it's a
actually,
competitive fight, but he won it pretty comfy, and he dropped the guy. Never really looked like stopping him, but you know, he came through pretty routinely, really. So now the target, I guess, is Breedis, but who knows what's going to happen there? He's got to fight himself. How confident would you be now of moving him up to heavyweight straight away? If the unifications weren't on the table, that you would think that has to be the move.
I think it is. It has to be the move, and it's got to be the thoughts, and they must
Yeah.
be building towards that at some point. But he gives away so many of his advantages once he moves up. The height, the reach, all the stuff that helps him now. He has it against some heavyweights, but not all, and that's where he'll struggle. Because all of a sudden, then it comes down to having more skill, more ring intelligence, more ring IQ, all those stuff. It comes down more to that. So he needs to be massive. No, he's learning on the job. I know he's a world champion, so you don't get that luxury anymore, but he still is learning on the job because he's had a short career as an amateur and a pro. I know he's been in the Olympics and he's boxed at a high level, pretty much all the time, but he's still been massively short. So he's learning all the time, but to move at the heavyweights, I think he will, and he should. But you got to be careful he doesn't become the next Henry Akawandi, who was a real talent, but every time you see him on the poster, you didn't want to go.
Yeah.
Didn't want to watch him. He was lovely, he was a good boxer, he was really hard to beat, but you just didn't want to watch him. And that Okolie could be that, and that's the worry. So he'll earn money, but he won't earn the super money because it'd be like, why would I want to match him against him?
Mm.
Again, he'd be one of those guys who don't want who's. I wouldn't say it's like it is a Jack Catterall situation where, you know, who wants him club, because there's always money to be made in heavyweight, so you're always going to get an opportunity. But it will be like you're way down the list because you're going to be an awkward fight.
He's kind of got that already at cruiserweight, even with a belt, hasn't he?
Yeah, but that's the power as well. Like,
Yeah.
they thinking, no, he's really.
It's not gonna be a fun
awkward, not a one. If he hits you, he hurts you.
Yeah.
But you know, and only the fighters like Breedis will go, I'll fight him.
Yeah.
Oh, no, any day of the week.
Of course, if he moves up as WBO champion, he would become mandatory, which would be a big carrot for him. But would you think he'd need one or two, like Usyk did?
Oh yeah, well yeah. He couldn't fight Usyk.
You wouldn't want to send him straight into a world title fight, would you?
He
Heavyweight,
can't fight Usyk because again, all those mistakes he makes.
get punished for him.
Massively punished.
Yeah.
He would see it so far. All Usyk got to go is like he does with every heavyweight. Don't get it clean.
Mm.
Well, he saw the fact he was against Joshua, who's much more schooled than Okolie. I mean, he might not have that longer reach and that flicking shots, but no, when Okolie brings that right foot forward, he's not going to be able to hold Usyk because Usyk's not going to be there. Usyk's going to be by here or by here and looking to throw a shot. You won't be able to get close to him. You'd be grabbing onto thin air. It'd be an awful. It would be awful for him.
Mm.
So so that's where that solid jab comes in, because he might get away with that possibly. No, maybe, but no, you can't go in yet. You can't go into a heavyweight fight. You maybe check him in against a Joshua.
Really? His manager
Yeah, I know, no, but I just
carried the belt out for him last night. That's what you want to see, is it?
No, I don't. Yeah. He's carrying his own belt.
Yeah.
I'll have this back.
Apparently, yeah, I did notice that. He didn't want to look at it. But apparently Okolie's mum has already kiboshed the idea of him ever boxing Joshua.
Well,
So just so you know.
She kibosh it, but they're going to go.
What would you reckon with that? If he was to box Joshua?
They would fight.
No, but if he did, where would your money be?
Oh, Joshua.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Joshua. Yeah, I think this new Joshua who wants to be more refined. I'm not so sure that's the Joshua that beats a lot of people.
Mm.
It's weird because Joshua, like, we're going off on a tangent here, but why wouldn't we? I'm here. But the Joshua, he's doing the right things. He's trying to learn more of his trade to become a better all-round fighter. But I think it's taken away what made him who he was. Like, that's the thing, and I don't know whether you can get that back now. Because once you open your mind, like your boxing brain, if you like, to stuff, then you start thinking about, I don't want to get hit.
Mm.
When you did, it's sometimes I say this, and I don't want to. And it's like I'm like slated. My old manager, my old trainer, Ronnie Rush, he died the other week. It's his funeral on Friday. A lovely guy, a great trainer, but. He had Steve Robinson. He said Steve was great to train because, look, Steve's not a thick man. I'm not saying that, but Steve's boxing brain wasn't. I mean, he had a boxing brain, of course, but when he's boxing at world level, his boxing brain wasn't like a Colin McMillan's or something like that. So he said Steve was great. Can you tell Steve, go and hit him with a jab?
He'd do that.
And that's all he would think about.
Mm.
You know, he was like a soldier. Hit him with a jab, and he'd go, and he'd do other stuff, but that was it. That was his focus. And I don't care what you do, my jab's going to hit you. And that's what made him such a success. So when you don't open your mind to intelligence, no boxing intelligence, then you just stick to instructions. So you're easier to manage. So Joshua, like, go out there, solid jab, straight right hand, bam, 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 and destroy him. But now he's learning other things. You go back, you get caught now and again. When he's early in his career, and you get caught and you go, but he's still fighting, and he still want to get, because he'd still be thinking, I got to go bang, 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 crack you. But he still get caught, and it'd be, ooh, and then we go, he needs to learn more. But now he's learned more, he's going, I'm not going to do that bang, bang, crack anymore because I'm getting caught. Now he's thinking. Now he's doing what you want him to do, but not doing what he should be doing now because he's thinking about what he's doing. It's massively contradiction, I know that, but that's the truth.
Yeah.
Because like anyone who has a boxing, once you get caught, you go, that's
No thanks. Yeah.
It's only great fighters that can switch it off. Josh Taylor was like that, he had a good boxing brain, but at a point you just go, let's have it. Leonard, they all did it at some stage of their career. They educate their wrist, but they just, at some point, they have to go, I have to go. Calzaghe, all of them, whatever you think of. Well, I'd say Cal Froch, but Cal Froch, that's all he was, his career was. At some point, they just go, click, let's go for it.
Where do you think Okolie lies on that spectrum of being coachable? Obviously, with Shane McGuigan, they're probably 5 or 6 fights into their alliance now. It seemed to be really bearing fruit last night, untidy for everyone. I'm sure Shane wasn't happy with it.
No.
But do you think that at heavyweight, if he keeps it simple, he's going to be a problem up there?
Yeah, I think so.
Like
yeah.
challenge it like top tier, or
I think
does he
so.
beat Dylan White, for instance? Okay, here's a fight. Your old mate, ringside at the weekend, where he always is, Derek Chisora.
Yeah.
If you had him as the water tester, like Usyk did.
Yeah, and Chisora now, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do, yeah. I think Chisora now, how do I say this without him coming looking for me?
Yeah, be very careful.
Yeah. What's he going to do? Derek, come. I need the money to sue you, man. I need the money. Please punch me, man.
Get it on pay-per-view.
You can afford you now. I want an Indian summer like yours.
Yeah, just make sure someone's filming it.
You made millions of getting punched around, no? The last century.
Get it on TikTok.
Yeah, but I don't know what that is. But anyway, and anyway, I think so. I think Derek now is he's hard night's work for anyone, but he's taking punches for fun.
Yeah.
Because he can.
He knows it.
Because he can, so he's just taking it for fun. But I think Okolie would move better, especially if he didn't put on too much weight. He had to put on a bit of bulk, but if he doesn't get too heavy and still, because Coley's quite light on his feet, ironically. If he can keep that, but he has to keep learning that distance. That distance management has to be, more important than anything else for him. Because once he gets that distance right with the jab, then that right hand can be any way he wants it to. But he has to know what right hand to throw. All he needs is a jab and a right hand. He doesn't need anything else, Okolie. So once he knows what right hand to throw, when to throw it. So if he's laying that right hand out, you got to take a step back to throw the right hand. If he jabs like this and pushes him back, then he can throw that looping right hand, the one hand on the top, because it'll hit something. Not the back of the head, or hit him behind the head, or whatever he does. He'll hit him somewhere. And if he hits him somewhere, he can knock him out. Because punches from long distance are more concussive, because especially when they're thrown fast, because they build the velocity, and with the weight as well, with that speed and the weight, that's the whip. That's what you want. All these short punches that people talk about are usually garbage, because you can't generate the power. Their weight. That's the thing with heavyweights. They're weighty shots. Chisora, perfect example. That right hand he throws, he cuffs with it, so it's a heavy shot, and you feel it. But if you turn his hand over, he gets a little bit of torque on it, and a bit of spin, and a bit more acceleration. And Derek Chisora's a phenomenal puncher.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I mean, like a frightening puncher. And his career goes a massively different way. He earns less money and has more success. So he wouldn't have wanted that.
But Okolie, we're told, he had a big cut down for this one. I think he was 17, 18 stone or something in the back end of last year. He's a big guy.
Yeah,
He'll be a big heavyweight. It's not like Usyk where he's going to...
But it's all you put the weight on.
Yeah.
Be careful. It's not,
will that affect him?
You can't, but it will, because he has that spring to his step, which suits him.
Yeah.
Again, I go back to distance. He just don't use it right, though. He has that spring to his step, so it makes him awkward to attack against, because he's always like this. And and he's like this with his arms. They're all long, and you think if I don't get my attack right, then I'm in no man's land, and he's gonna ping me, sort of thing. Because he has at this weight certainly has real power, but doesn't quite use it right for judging his own distance for his own punches. But yeah, I think he's big enough. But if he puts on too much weight, it slows his feet down, which is inevitably that's going to happen. It's going to happen. It has to happen. But again, like Usyk, you want to put enough weight on so you can't be pushed around everywhere, but not enough like Holyfield did. He put on loads of weight, but he didn't put on. He wasn't. So he didn't go over the board. No, because you don't see. Being a heavyweight, you lean on people, stuff like that.
He was leaning a lot of Okolie last night because he knew he could.
Yeah, but he
had
won't
the
get.
size.
Yeah, but he won't be able to do that as a heavyweight,
Yeah.
and he don't want to put that much weight on to be able to lean on them because you want to be the one who's mobile, and they're naturally their weight's more natural, and you might have strength with putting on weight with muscles and all the rest of it, but natural weight is much more effective for leaning and pushing and stuff like that. I feel.
One last one, Okolie, and he's been sparring a lot with heavyweights. Daniel Dubois, namely, a lot. Like certainly in the early stages of Dubois' career. How would you see that fight going? You know, if he was Okolie to go into a fight like that, and it's say 16 stone Okolie in that sort of a fight, is he ready for that straight away?
I think so. Yeah, that's domestic level.
Yeah.
So you have to say he's ready for domestic level. No, I know. Dubois might box for a version of the world title. Now is he? But maybe. But that's not a real world.
Yeah, well, they're obviously trained by the same bloke now, but it's
but that could change tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how fickle that is, but he got a good chance against Dubois because Dubois hittable. So yeah, and also especially now if he comes in like a lot, not too heavy than he is now, like a stone and a half over what he is, then he's super mobile, and that'll cause Dubois trouble. But again, Dubois, I like Dubois. I think he does what I think Okolie should do. Keeps his work very, very simple. Doesn't try and get too clever with his work, and it makes it far more effective because he masters that jab. That jab is a good weapon for Dubois. But Okolie's fast, and that's where he got the advantage. He has speed in his shots, and those arms are just telescopic. They're just crazy.
Good word.
Yeah, it is. Isn't
Very
it?
good word. Yeah. Now, speaking of,
I
just want to leave the last word on the undercard. Not even the co-main, which was Galal Yafai kicked off with a win, but I wanted to go one down. Jordan Gill.
Yeah.
One of the most unbelievable moments I've ever seen in a boxing ring. Just unbelievable courage from him. Second left in round 9, I believe, getting pummeled. Pummeled to a point where people around me are going, he's got to stop, they got to pull him out. And he's in his corner. We know now both eardrums are gone, so his balance is gone. And Caldwell's just said, stay here. Don't move, you got your ropes. And just try and hang in there. I'm thinking, why is he not pulling him out? And that's why. Second left.
That's
good night.
That's not master tactics.
No.
It's not.
No, it's survival, isn't it?
They should have pulled him out.
Yeah.
That's the truth. I don't want to criticise anyone. I am. I don't criticise anyone, but that's all I've done today. But they should have pulled him out because he was getting hurt and battered. And it reminds me of that Graham Hill could see this thing. Remember that? And the referee and then Mickey Van threw the towel up. And then Graham Hill gets up and drops could see this. And it was almost justified.
Yeah.
He gets stopped in the end, but it was almost justified. But it wasn't justified. The referee threw the corner threw the towel in
for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He took more punches then, didn't he? What was the point in that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But again, so they should have pulled him out because he was boxing well. I like Jordan Gill. I like a lot about him. Like his look. He looks like an 80s fighter. That was an 80s fight, wasn't it? Really, that was. I mean, it really was, wasn't it? A brutal 80s fight, wasn't it? It really was. But
fair play to Gurphy, by the way, who got stopped in a round by Lee McGregor at bantamweight.
Yeah, I was there. I worked that fight,
and now he's up at feather.
Yeah, great body shot that was.
Yeah, it was.
Him in half.
Yeah.
But he's one of those. He's one of those real quality European circuit fighters. He wins the European title that every fighter with aspirations to win a world title should have to go through. They should have to go. That's the test you need to tell you whether you're ready for a world title shot. That's the truth. It's not just winning; it's how you win. By the way,
of course, yeah.
Jordan Gill won, but he's not ready to go.
Yeah, is that what it tells you?
Yeah. He won, but he's not ready to move on. Not yet. He needs to stay at this level a little bit longer. I worry they're going to push him. I worry.
But would you have said the same about Lee Wood, for instance, a year ago?
No. Of course, no. You wouldn't. I know one fight can change, but you can't go on the...
Can't go on last night.
No, you can't go on the unusual.
Right, yeah.
Like Lee Wood is not a freak of nature thing.
It's an anomaly, definitely.
A little bit, isn't it? You know, that how he progressed, and maybe he caught one fight at the right time. You know, time will tell with Lee Wood, by the way, because now he's got Michael Conlan, and if he beats Michael Conlan, then you go, well, that's what a dramatic change in career he was, because he was British level all day long, Lee Wood.
Yeah.
And that's a fan. People forget British level's fantastic. European level's great. World level is something else, But we're all so used to people bypassing the levels to get there that we take world level for granted. When you come against a genuine world level fighter, you find how good you actually are not how good you are.
What will that do for?
What I say, Jordan Gill.
Yeah.
I worry about my worry last night was that was an example of the winner taking more punishment than the loser.
What does it do for him, miles on the clock wise?
I would say they need to just keep an eye on him, like a real eye on him, see how he is, because that was a hard fight. Like, I think, and I was watching on TV, of course, not on my app, not TV. I'm on TV via my app. I'm old, so it's just very confusing.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But, yeah. But he was walking back to his corner. He looked in worse state than Guerfi.
Yeah. Well, even when he was celebrating, he almost went over the ropes.
But he was like that, wasn't he? I've seen him go back. They had to sit him down. I think that's a worry. So I keep an eye on him. Like, that's sometimes those fights like that are fights you don't recover from. That's the worry. That's that one last, great draw of energy that you got. That might have taken That might have taken more out of him. I hope not, by the way, because that's the door opener for him, isn't it? No, because that punch is the punch that you show to sell him for a bigger fight.
Yeah.
To TV. That's where they show that all.
I mean, it's pure Rocky, wasn't it?
Oh, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was fantastic. It was funny because he was doing what Chisora was doing.
Yeah.
In the corner.
In that corner, yeah.
Stick yourself in the corner.
Yeah.
Because your legs are unsteady, and it's a great tactic.
Especially when you got someone like Guerfi unloading, just trying to put you away and leaving you.
Guerfi's great, and he's always tough. And Guerfi and Andy Lee was spot on attack. He always fires back.
Yeah.
When you throw.
Yeah, good counter left hook.
But every time you hit him, he always fire back. That's where he gets caught or get hurt and stopped quite often, because he always gets caught when he's throwing. Usually, it happened again and last night. And he stands in front of you, so you know what he is. But he's tough and he keeps coming. And Gill took a bit of a hammering, and even though he won, fantastic win, show real stuff. What I'm worried about is the longevity of what that does for him, and more than how good of a win it was. My biggest concern was he's walking back. He might collapse when he gets to the corner. So to see how he goes, I'm hoping he's sure he's fine. I'm hoping he's all good, and I'm hoping he recovers. I hope he has a fantastic career, because I like him. I got a lot about him. In fight camp, his performance in fight camp in Belotti was perfect boxing.
Pivots galore, wasn't it?
Oh, mate. Honestly, I was in the bubble bath watching it. It was brilliant stuff.
Okay, Barry, thanks for that. That's enough of your time there. And thanks to you to watch, and remember, like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff, and we'll see you next time.